Okay, y'all. Today we have Carly here. She's with the Curtis Group now at NRL Mortgage.
Yes, we're so excited to be switching. We just switched last month. So we're excited for the new year.
Yeah, so we have a few questions, a lot of questions that y'all ask me all the time. I wanted to meet with Carly and get some answers for y'all. So, number one question is, what are the current interest rates? Everyone talks about interest rates. What are they?
I think this is probably the first question that anybody asks me when they find out that I'm a mortgage originator. And it's probably the hardest question to ask because it is so dependent on so many different things. Um, I mean, everybody is a little bit different. So, say that the market interest rate yesterday was 7%. Even if you applied with me yesterday, you're probably not going to get that rate. One, because we don't usually lock you in until you're under contract on a home, but also because an interest rate is basically it goes off of how risky your profile is. So, say that you have a 700 credit score and you put 20% down, that's going to be a lot less risky than a 580 credit score and 10% down or 3% down, whatever. So that's how they go off. That's how they figure out what your interest rate is for your profile. So that's probably the hardest question to answer because I can't really give you a straight answer.
Right. In which, when it comes to real estate, every transaction, every client, everyone is situational, y'all. So, could you agree that just because your friend got something, you cannot get that same exact thing? It's not always the case, right?
Yes, 100%. Every file that I see is completely different.
Yeah. So just make sure y'all know. I know a lot of people come to me, hey, my friend got, 20,000 down payment assistance to help with her house. Can I get that? We can try, but that's not, it's even if you're buying a house next door to each other that is exactly the same, you're not going to pay the same. You're just not. It just doesn't work that way. What is the minimum credit score that y'all help out?
So each program is a little bit different. You have FHA has a minimum of 580. Conventional is a minimum of 620, 600 sometimes, depending on how much you're going to put down. And then you have DPA, which is set as a minimum of 620.
So if someone applies and let's say their credit score comes back and it's not enough to get to where what they want to buy, what they want to pay, how are you able to assist them?
So I'm very big. I'm a very big problem solver. If somebody comes to me, I'm not ever going to say, no, you can't buy a home. It's always going to be, it's just not right now. Let's work on your let's work on your credit score. Let's save a little bit of money, whatever the case is. We'll give you a path forward on how to say you have a 520 credit score and we need to get you to 620 for that down payment assistance. We'll give you a straightforward or what's the word? Straight path forward in order to get them there. So
Okay, perfect. Yes, that is always the best thing. And that's what I tell some of my clients too that maybe have been applying for loans and they're like, oh, I can't get the loan. It's not that you can't, like you said, just not right this second.
yes.
And how fast do you think someone could make their score go up, like you said, 100 points? How long do you think that would take if they really tried?
So sometimes it honestly, it truly just depends on the profile again, because sometimes it's just paying down this one auto loan payment, but sometimes time is your best friend with your credit score. So it's truly just dependent on each profile.
Okay, how easy or difficult is it to get approved for the down payment assistance? Because that is number one thing, especially with me. I work a lot with first time home buyers, and everybody hears about first time home buyers assistance programs and all that. Can you explain that a little more?
Yeah, so I'm very big on first time home buyers. I love to educate, especially being a first time home buyer just in the last year. Um, Down payment assistant program is they're honestly pretty lenient as long as you meet the 620 credit score. The DTI is big in every situation, and they do also have the maximum. You can only make a certain amount of money a year. So as long as you meet those requirements, they're pretty lenient. The team that I used to work with actually did a lot of DPA programs, so we do them quite a bit.
Can you explain what DTI means?
So the DTI is the debt to income ratio in your profile. So it's how much debt you have compared to how much you make a year.
Okay, I know you're not a tax specialist, but can you explain debt a little bit more?
So the debt that we look at in debt to income is going to be anything on your credit report. So car payments, any installment loans, any credit card payments that you have, all that.
Okay, so when you say installments, do you mean like Affirm and Sezzle too for all my shoppers out there?
Yes, and Affirm does count. If it is under 10 months, and we'll just basically eliminate it.
Because Affirm you can go for a year on
Right.
some of the, or I think you can even go more. I don't know. Affirm serious, y'all. Don't rack everything up. If one of my clients come up and they say, I have $10,000 saved, I've been working the last 2 years, I don't know how good my credit score is, it might not be too bad. What do you think they could do?
So the biggest thing that you're missing in that whole situation is income. So just because you have perfect credit and you've been working the last 2 years, you still need to have an income to offweigh the debts that you have. So debt to income is the biggest is very high on the list whenever qualifying. But if you can save money, you probably have pretty good income, I guess.
Okay, y'all. So we're gonna give y'all a little bit of scenario since we have some numbers here, and just remember that all this is what hypothetical case base. This does not mean you're gonna get this amount. We just want to kind of give y'all an example with certain circumstances. Okay, so if you want to buy a $250,000 house, which is on the lower end of the market right now, let's explain some numbers. Can you explain interest rate? What it mean, what their monthly payment's going to be, what kind of down payment they need, and the debt to income.
Yeah, so let's go based off of an FHA loan. The minimum down payment for an FHA loan is going to be 3.5%, which of $250,000 is almost $9,000. It's $8,750, and then this is going off of a 7% interest rate. And then that's with if you add $780 for taxes and insurance, you're going to have a payment about $2,500. So in order to qualify for a $250 or $2,500 payment a month, you need to make about $60,000, and that's with no debt.
No debt, y'all. So your budget is 2,500. That's like the max. When you make 60,000 income, you have no car payments, no store credit cards, no balance on your credit cards, no Affirm. Your max is 2,500, correct?
Correct. Yeah, that's including all the debt that you have.
Okay, and that about in this market, $2,500 a month, like we showed, is about $250,000 in sales price.
Correct.
Okay, and how soon do you think someone should apply for a loan before they actually want to move?
So I always say to apply so that you know. So some people think that they can apply the day of, and really their credit is like poo poo, and we need to work on it. But some people think that they'll never be able to qualify, and they apply and they're good to go. So I always say to apply so that you know. So I always, in general, ideally 3 to 6 months in case there's anything to fix on your credit, or if you need to save a little bit more money. But there's always those people that apply the day of and needed a pre-qual yesterday, and we work with those people too. So
Yeah, that was that was where I was going to go with that too, is like when people before they apply, they're always looking online, right? Then they see the house of their dreams they want, y'all.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where is your pre-approval letter? Because how soon, okay, let's say everything's perfect. How soon could they get the pre-approval letter?
Yeah, so as soon as they get us the supporting documents that we request, it's generally no more than 24 hours. But keep in mind that a pre-qual and a pre-approval are a little bit different, right? Mm-hmm. So a pre-approval is basically a pre-qual, but it goes all the way through underwriting, and the underwriter is saying this is for sure going to close, and that takes generally anyway, probably max 5 days because it has to go through the underwriting system. A pre-qual is your loan originator looking at all your credit, income, assets, and pre-qualifying you based off of that. With the pre-approval, you also can close a little bit sooner too because it's gone through that process already.
And how often do they, I guess, correlate and like how accurate is the pre-qual?
The prequel is pretty much is just as accurate. We don't ever. I mean, I don't actually think in the last 3 years of me working that I've ever had somebody come back and say, I'm only going to accept this offer if it's a pre-approval. A pre-qual is pretty much just as strong.
Okay. So when you say all the supporting documents, is it a lot of information that y'all need from the client?
So I don't think that it's a lot of information because it's all necessary. When I bought my home probably a year ago and filling out the application, and that was a little bit different because I did buy a new build, but when I was filling out the application, submitting everything, I was kind of like, this is kind of annoying, but it's all necessary. So It's not a lot of information, and our application is very easy, very straightforward.
So, but by the time they're done with the application, will you know everything about the client?
For the most part, yep.
I know everyone's always so scared about knowing everything, but y'all, they keep it's confidential. You're asking for a loan for thousands and thousands of dollars. They need to know what they're getting into, right? And it's not really up, it's not up to you, right? You're not the one who makes the decisions. It's up to what Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, call them, or Ginnie Mae. I don't know which one is it.
All of them.
All of them. They decide. So they have to approve to make sure that you can get the loan.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's not Carly. It's just how it works.
Yeah. I'm not looking at how much you're spending on food each month. I mean, I am, but I'm not judging you because that's me too.
Right. Like there is no judgment, y'all. Everyone's goal at the end of the day is to get you in your home, right? We all want that. So once they get the pre-approval, and let's say we get a house under contract, 30 days, we're going to go to close. The week of closing, are they going to need to reprove anything, or I guess I should say validate anything or give any more information?
Right. So that's more of the processing and underwriting side. I know that processing it depends on how fast you did the process, right? Sometimes they'll ask for another bank statement or another pay stub, but I do also know that they get verbal verification of employment as well. So it kind of just depends on how long it took you to complete the process.
Okay. And whenever they're under contract or even after just pre-approval, should they go buy anything?
Absolutely not. Any large payments out of your account or even into your account have to be explained.
So how far back do y'all look at payments? So let's say someone was paying child support and now they no longer have to because their child is over 18, but they stopped paying 3 months ago. This is a real life example we just went through with someone. Would y'all question that, or how do y'all go about that? Do you know?
Yeah, you have to be current on all child support. Doesn't matter if your child's 26 and you still owe or not. It has to be current.
What if they don't owe?
We know. It's on your credit.
So, but if they're good, they should be good, right?
Yep.
And it's on the credit. So child support is something that goes against your debt to income ratio, correct?
Oh, 100%. Yep. If it's derogatory, then it's on your credit. But that's also something that is asked during the application process if you have any other debts.
So keep in mind, child support is one of those, y'all. I know that doesn't normally feel like a debt. I mean, it's a monthly payment they do, but it's not like you applied for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you did, but
the benefit of that on the other side of it is that it also counts as income. So if you are a mother that receives child support, or a father, I guess, that receives child support, it's considered income. So you can use that to qualify.
Okay, how often do y'all work with business owners versus people with W-2 salary type job?
Yeah, so we probably work with them maybe a little bit less, but honestly just as much. The biggest thing is whenever people go to file their tax returns, they're not always the best for buying a home. So sometimes we run into that, but we can always figure out a way to work it.
Like, do y'all offer the bank statement loans?
Yes, we do. And a bank statement loan is basically where we look at the last 12 months of your bank statements in order to calculate your income.
Okay, good. So if you own a business, we all know we're trying to get the most write-offs as we can, right? We're business owners too. We understand, so don't feel like defeated if that's you. There is a way to get you in a home, so keep that in mind. Why should my clients, so obviously I have a referral list I give out to my clients. That's where y'all might have seen Carly's name before, but why should they choose you out of the others?
Like I stated before, I'm a very big problem solver. I work with a lot of first-time home buyers, and I never like to say no. I always like to give them a path forward. So it's not no, it's just not right now, maybe. People are either going to be walking away with a path forward or buying a home. I'm also very big on communication. Like I mentioned, whenever I bought my house a year ago, I had the worst experience with my lender. It was to the point where I was emailing and I mean, I would email and not get a response for 3 to 4 days later. So ever since I went through that process, I have been like, I'm never going to be like that. I want everybody to stay in touch and never be in the dark.
So, because when you bought new builds, so you had to use their lender, correct?
Yes, and they're basically just being fed business, so they aren't the best.
Yeah, we had an example. One of mine had gotten a new build, and it was like it could go weeks before the lender responded to them. And I mean, I get it. Sometimes they're building, you're in a contract for 7 months or so. But like what happened was they had some questions, they didn't get an answer for a month later, and then when they have a question, they want to respond to within like 2 hours.
Right. Yeah.
And that's not fair.
Right. Right. If my clients have a question, I want them to get answered as soon as possible. And I want them to understand the answer too. I want to educate them.
And so speaking of new builds, would you say that you could possibly compare the loan that the new build lender, like usually if you're not familiar with buying a new build house, the builders partner up with lenders to give you deals. That's how you get the incentives on closing. That's how you get the incentive on interest rates and all those things. If you use their lender, that's the catch. Are you able to compare and see if their lender is actually a better deal with all those incentives, or if just getting a standard loan with you would be a better choice?
Yeah, I definitely would suggest having somebody else look at the loan estimate, because sometimes they will be giving you a good deal, but then later down the road, they're making their money back somewhere. And maybe as a first time home buyer, or maybe even an experienced home buyer, you may not catch that.
Okay, so that is all my questions today. But the number one thing is, how can they reach you and like apply with you?
Yeah, so hopefully Cameron will put my contact information below, and she can always share my application with y'all. And I'm excited to help y'all buy your home.
Yeah, so if you're looking to buy this year, y'all definitely reach out. Me and Carly would love to help. Bye.
Bye.